Hey, Brett, welcome.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, today I really want to dive into something that's been a hot topic. Everyone's talking about on the internet. There's countless blogs and articles, and that's the nearest neighbor attack. And I
Yeah.
know this isn't something brand new. It's something that's been around for a while, but it seems like it's picking up some steam. It's getting some publicity around it because of some recent activities, and I was hoping you could share some of your expertise on what this thing is.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is kind of brand new. The attack happened a couple of years ago, but we only learned about it publicly just a couple of weeks ago. So basically, the attack blows up people's assumptions about what is required for a successful wireless attack. There was a Russian APT that was able to acquire some credentials for a target organization through some public-facing services on the internet using a password spraying attack, but MFA prevented the attacker from penetrating the network. So then the attacker got creative and they identified organizations that were in close proximity to the main target and they compromised their networks where they were able to get into them and then finding dual homed devices that were both on the wired network and had a wireless interface, they were able to pivot to the wireless and use those organizations' devices to then breach the primary target. So this is a
Yeah.
fascinating story, a little bit scary, but highlights the problem that what we used to think of as a necessary requirement for a wireless attack, that is of close proximity,
Yeah.
isn't strictly a requirement. And there's history here, right? I mean, we know why we think that because people have been apprehended for conducting such attacks in close proximity, and they've learned. Like there were in 2018, there were Russian GRU agents apprehended in the Netherlands after conducting an evil twin attack. Well,
Mm.
these guys got smarter. And a couple years ago, um, there was an attack based using a drone as a delivering mechanism. Same kind of attack. We don't actually know who the perpetrator was, as far as I know publicly, but these guys get smarter. And now this nearest neighbor attack, which actually occurred around the same time, but we only just recently learned about it, just kind of highlights that, hey, we can remove ourselves farther and farther, and now we can be on the other side of the world and conduct a wireless attack.
And I think that's the big part, Brett, because when I think of a wireless attack, of course, I think close proximity.
Right.
We've all been in a situation where at our homes or maybe a coffee shop or a hotel, and you bring up the wireless networks to see which one you want to jump on. And sometimes there's a half a dozen, sometimes there's 30 or 40, depending on where in the world you're located.
Yeah.
But it's all about proximity. And I think we have this idea of the nefarious individual in a van with the Pringles can sticking out, or some antiquated idea of what a wireless attack might be. But
Right.
what I think was really interesting about this one is, like you said, they found out, okay, we want to get into, this victim's location. And maybe we can't for whatever reason, because you said, multi-factor authentication, or they have strong security or whatever issues. So they just bring up a map and they go, oh, well, this other company is across the parking lot. Let's try to break into them. And I believe in this case, right, it was like a VPN device or something that they compromised. They found a dual honed laptop. Again, I believe that was the case. It was
Mhm.
connected to a wired Ethernet, and then they turned on Wi-Fi, and then they connected to the wireless access point where they had some stolen credentials, and from there they were on-prem essentially, just like they were in the building. Um,
Yeah.
to me, it's not the most high-tech attack, but it definitely shows a level of persistence for sure.
Yes.
Somebody really wanted to get in there. So, you know, I think we get it, how it works. So how can Bastille help with this?
So Bastille is all about wireless security, right? We bring visibility to this invisible attack surface that many people aren't thinking about on a regular basis. My hope is that these kinds of stories will help bring awareness to the problem. So Bastille can help by bringing visibility, first of all, identifying every wireless component that is in or nearby that facility. Right. We don't think about our neighbors being the weak link in our chain, but they could be if our wireless is not as secure as the rest of our network. So with Bastille, you can identify every device that's talking. You can detect things like an evil twin attack. And in the case of the nearest neighbor, you can identify when a device is connecting to your network and that client is outside the perimeter of your facility.
Yeah.
So that's crucial, right? We can identify when it's a new device, where it's transmitting from, and we can make a determination of whether that is a trustworthy device, whether we want to allow it network access or not.
Yeah.
So one default behavior might be you have a device that's connecting for the first time from outside your organization. You can allow it to connect to Wi-Fi, but don't allow it network access until it has been determined to be authorized.
Yeah.
And that how that determination is made is up to the organization. It might be as simple as, oh, it has finally come in and it's clearly in an authorized area. That might be as simple as it is, or there might be
Mhm.
some hands-on from IT to make that determination.
Yeah, and you raise a good point there. It's not just Bastille's capability of detecting that there's some unknown device outside of the organization coming in, but it's also Bastille's integration with your existing IT and network and
Yes,
security controls, maybe like a NAC solution to your example there to say, yes, this device can come in or not. You know, from
absolutely.
a Sevco perspective, sort of an asset intelligence, vulnerability exposure management perspective, I love this approach because it's the unknowns. So we can pull information about assets and vulnerabilities and exposures from Active Directory and Amazon and Google and CrowdStrike and Automox and everything in between, hundreds and
Yeah,
hundreds of sources. But those are all known things. Now they might be unknown to each other. That's why, you have an asset intelligence platform to correlate it all. But
sure.
no one's looking at these unknown devices coming out. And this is a great example, really, some of these major gaps that exist when you think about wireless. And in this case, it was, like I said before, it was a pretty easy attack, but it showed a very high level of persistence. Somebody really wanted to get in,
Yes,
and they were able to, not just evade detection, but maintain persistence, it sounds like, for, a couple years in this case.
yeah.
So, last question I have for you on this. So, in terms of, customers wanting to leverage Bastille, is this a special, unique feature, some different code you have to turn on, or some module, or is this just a default capability of what Bastille does out of the box and a solution it provides?
When you're asking about this specific use case that I talked about to
Exactly.
enhance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything that we provide is integrated into the system. There's nothing special that you need to do other than work with us to procure a system. Um, and uh, and basically, yeah, out of the box, there's an analytics module that performs this kind of capability and others. Now, we do want to work with customer organizations to identify exactly how they would like to respond. So we have to work with you to integrate with whatever systems you already have to implement the specific use cases that we have in mind. But we can talk through that through the details and work with you to set all that up.
Awesome. Well, Brett, thank you so much, and thanks for sharing your insights on this nearest neighbor attack.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate your time.